can't believe it's been a year and a half since we moved here. Those were our exact words, just as we attempted to pack our Brisbane lives back to Singapore. It's easy to say time just flew by without us knowing, but that's not the case. We always knew time was slipping away from the moment we arrived here, and yet, nothing made saying goodbye any easier. We're leaving Brisbane only because LT's work stint here has ended, so we're returning back to Singapore with a heavy heart. Given the chance, we'd definitely want to continue living in this beautiful city filled with great people. In our short, yet long time here, we've grown really used to the gentler pace of life and crossed paths with so many wonderful, inspiring, and resilient people. So if you're wondering what this last vlog would be like, it's a compilation of our memories of our very lasts of our time here in Brisbane. We always celebrate our firsts, but we thought our lasts ought to be remembered as well. It holds a great amount of sadness, yet also so much happiness, because these are the moments that mean so much to us. In our time here, we've learned to embrace a different life, one that is slower and gentler, yet still filled with excitement and hope. So I hope you stick around and watch on as we take you to some of our most treasured last memories of our time here in Brisbane. From revisiting some of our favourite cafes and bidding the owners goodbye, to exploring new places we've always wanted to go for the first and sadly last time. We've also tried to capture tender moments with people whom we've come to call our friends. They've not only led us into their stores, but also into their homes and their hearts. And for that, we will always be so immensely grateful. So here's life in Brisbane for one final time before we sign off for now. You know how you put things off because you think that there will always be a next time, but somehow it just gets pushed further along until you forget about it? Well, this was one of the forgotten places I'd wanted to visit for a while now. It's a nondescript spot that you'd easily miss if you weren't looking, and it prides itself with plenty of vegetarian options and using everything Australian, from the wine to the ingredients that go into their unique dishes. We sat at what I feel was the best seat in the house and enjoyed the evening people watching while savouring every bite of the delicious food. We ordered a little bit of everything, from focaccia with smoked butter to a hearty chestnut mushroom risotto, and everything just made our hearts sing. We were so stuffed by the end of the meal, but we still couldn't resist ordering a blood orange and poppy seed cake with pistachio gelato to end things off on a superb note. We wiped the plates clean and left the place wondering why we didn't visit sooner. Definitely a 10 out of 10 in my books. I had always wanted to take LT to Snug after trying their delicious sandwich during lunch one time. But we never got a chance since they changed their hours to dinner only. Seats are highly coveted here, so an early reservation is essential. I knew I was going to love their food no matter what, because the sandwich I had previously was exceptional. And true enough, we were blown away by everything we ordered. From this huge porcini and eggplant arancino as a starter, to the exceptional spanner crab with squid ink cavatelli pasta, and this beautiful handmade pizza topped with pork and parsley sausage and Stilton. This was a real carb-heavy meal, but we just couldn't stop stuffing our faces silly because every dish was just perfect. If you love Italian food, then you must come and give Snug a shot. I promise you won't be disappointed. This cafe has been blowing up all over social media earlier this year for their cozy cafe with Korean-inspired food. We've been visiting Snug pretty frequently, especially for that late afternoon coffee, since they are one of the few cafes that closes at 3. We love their pastries, which they offer alongside their popular omurice and soft pretzels. And this place can get really packed in the early weekday mornings, and it gets even crazier on weekends. But we'll still come by anyway. It's a short 5 minutes drive from our place, and one we gladly take just to get good coffee and a great spot to chill at. This Japanese dessert cafe is a little further than most, but for the delicious desserts and teas here, it's worth it. They have been coming up with a new dessert every weekend since 2020, so you know that they take their craft very seriously. I've loved all the desserts we've had here so far, and their matcha never fails. We love this sausage muffin over at Butter, so we knew we had to have it for one more time before we left. There's something about their pork and fennel patty that just makes this muffin so complete. Not forgetting that secret sauce too. Definitely something worth trying to recreate when we're back. Within the first few months of moving here, I started to crave for malatang, so LT found this spot over in Sunnybank, which is the unofficial Chinatown of Brisbane. broth is great and the ingredients are always super fresh, so we never get tired of fulfilling our cravings here. To be honest, food isn't the cheapest here in Brisbane, but I guess when you have such a heaping bowl of food like ours, it does feel pretty worth the splurge. Cerin is the newest bakery to open in the neighbourhood we live in, and they specialise in making Italian pastries and bakes like cannoli, bomboloni and focaccia. We took some of it to the Mulberry Park since the weather was beautiful that morning. We bought hot coffees along as well, but they turned cold in no time, all thanks to that chilly breeze. I picked the pistachio cornetto and loved every bite of it. They were generous with the filling, but I later realized that it was only generous because I took all of it and left none in LT's share. This was our first time at this park and we really wished we had come here earlier because it had such a beautiful, relaxing vibe to it. It felt so nice to see everyone just soaking in the morning quietly around us. Such is the slow life in Brisbane. It felt very bittersweet to be back here for the last time. Epilo is one of the first few cafes we visited after moving into the neighbourhood. We didn't have a car for the first few weeks after we arrived, so we walked to the nearby cafes just to explore what's in the area. Epilo was one of the first few cafes we really enjoyed, not only because they had great coffee and food, but also because of how lovely the staff always were, and being surrounded by plants definitely uplifts the mood somehow. Being back here truly felt like everything had come full circle and that our chapter here in Brisbane was really ending. Wilburs was a cafe that we only stumbled upon in the last few months before we left. Initially, we went by only for their super strong coffees and never thought to try their sandwiches. Until one fine day, we did, and there was really no turning back. It's so nice to have a little cafe around the bend, in an old Queenslander no less, with so many regular customers stopping by for a quick coffee or just to sit around with their dogs. Hopefully one day we'll have something like that to call our own. We fell in love with this cafe's take on healthy yet delicious brunch, so we've been coming back quite a few times now. The outdoor area is just so inviting and relaxing that I could stay here all day with a cup of chai and a good book. I've grown to appreciate how cafes in Brisbane don't always have the beautiful standard cafe aesthetic like we're used to in Singapore, but yet it is still so lovely because of its unpretentious and unique vibes. There's not one cafe that's like another, and I love the thought of that. Whenever we felt like we missed Korean barbecue, this is our go-to spot to satisfy those cravings. I think I would even be so bold to say that the food tastes so much better than the ones we have in Singapore. Their side dishes are always so delicious and generous, and they have very unique ways to enjoy your barbecued. Not only can you wrap it as a sam with lettuce, but you can also wrap it with their marinated perilla leaves or enjoy it with a dash of wasabi. We've never been disappointed by the quality of the food and the service here. This is definitely one meal I will miss having often. It's so nice to walk through the quiet Brisbane City Botanic Garden so late at night. We decided to walk off the calories from our meal and found some people feeding the possums in the park. Such curious creatures they are. With a heavy heart, we sold our car to a very lovely lady a couple of days ago, and I have been going around via public transport or Uber ever since. While I'm sad that having a car meant less of such fun moments while walking around, I'm still glad we managed to experience all of this during our last few days. Anna and Khan invited us over to their place for dinner after we told them we wanted to hold a farewell before we left. We got to know them after frequently visiting their shop, which sells the most delicious crispy pork banh mi we've ever had. Within the first few months, they recognized us as regulars, and after chatting here and there, we became close and it felt nice to have familiar and friendly faces in an unfamiliar place. Christmas Eve last year, they invited us to their huge family celebration since they knew we had no family here, and we ended up having so much fun, laughter, and happy tears from our time there. There's no words to describe how much their love and kindness means to us. They've built such a wonderful community with their family, friends, and even with their staff. And we are just so lucky to be able to get a glimpse of what it's like to have such a fulfilling life. We weren't sure if we would be able to catch Ian before we left, but life is serendipitous and we bumped into him on our second last day. We got to know him through the barista coffee class we signed up for, and what started out as a coffee, brewing and latte art lesson quickly progressed into something much deeper and more significant as time went by. We ended up talking for hours as we got to understand his passion and the driving force behind coffee mentality. He brings such great energy and positivity whenever we chat with him, and I'm just so grateful we managed to catch him just one last time before we left. Like most people, we had a very specific list of things we wanted to do before we left. And this was very high on that list. If you didn't know, LT is a huge fan of fried chicken. And so am I. So it's no surprise that we accumulated over 10 of these vouchers in the past year, which gets us one whole chicken for free. You have no idea how excited we were. We've been waiting for this moment for a while now, and it's finally here. If you're ever in Brisbane, you must try this Korean fried chicken. I had the best Korean fried chicken in Jeju, and I would say that this is so comparable to it. The batter here is just on a different level, and the sides are so damn good. We even cracked open the last bottle of spiced ginger beer we've been saving since November last year for our very last dinner in this apartment. We got up bright and early, determined to be strong as we dropped off gifts for Anna and Khan before we left for the airport. It was such a tough moment, holding back the tears and saying our goodbyes. It was truly a bittersweet moment, knowing that this day would come, preparing for it, yet dreading it so much when it's here. Saying goodbye never gets any easier. We came down to have one last crispy pork banh mi and went back up with so much more food that we asked for. Turns out Anna told her staff to prepare some special rice paper rolls for us to take to the airport in case we got hungry. I say it's special because they had to wrap it on the spot and omit the lettuce because she knows I don't like them and have never tried the rice paper rolls. She even included our favourite pork skewers and refused to take any payments for it. In more ways than one, they were our home away from home. They cared for us like we were their family, and that just made it so much harder to bid them farewell. We've met so many wonderful, generous, and kind souls in our time here, from the housekeeping staff in our service department to the owners of the various cafes and shops we've visited often. We will take all these great memories of our time in Brisbane back with us and hold on to them tightly until we return again. you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you for journeying with us through our final days in Brisbane. I took a while to put this together because honestly, it's been a lot to process, and sometimes I feel sad that we're not heading back. But I guess there's a lot to look forward in our days ahead, and I can't wait to take you along with us as we open a new chapter of our lives back in Singapore. Life in Brisbane is on a hold right now, and I hope maybe one day we can restart it again. And until then, I hope you stick around. See you at our next adventure.